how was that for an iDubbbz TV? Alright, I thought I'd try something a little different, and by different, I mean nothing at all. So you're still going to be seeing my ugly mug with my disease-ridden facial hair. The kind of facial hair that resembles those cactuses that you get from like a Mexican at a flea market. So I'm basically going to be reviewing a game while roasting the shit out of it and whatever fat fuck of a fan base it might have. And for my first game roast, it's gonna be Neptunia, the series. Not the first game though, but the entire thing. Including Mega Dimension and excluding the 3 remakes minus some choice quotes from them. Now let's get our cringe glasses on, stick our dicks into electric outlets, and pretend it's noir, because when we castrate this game, you're gonna have to remember that she's the only one that almost everyone likes. You can also imagine Nepgear if you want. You know, if that's more your thing. But if you pick blonde, then you're a sick fuck. So my first experience that I had with this game came from a friend's house, and he had it. But it was never anything special. The only people who would probably tell you that this game was super special are feminists who think every game is automatically golden, godly juice poured from Idea Factory's unholy vagina, while Compile Heart takes its cock and had several bastard children with it. You gotta have your strong female protagonists. About as strong as a wet fucking noodle. When, you know, considering the fact that half the cast can't do jack shit without anybody else there to help. The game, however, did have an overall sense of fun to it. Just nothing that blew my socks off. I can honestly say that the game had decent humor in it. But most of the characters were, you know, stereotypes. Which seems to be all the anime community and, you know, gaming community who likes JRPGs cares about these days. We have Neptune, the lolly who turns into a busty babe with the same girl power type aura that all the other cancerous stereotyped girls have. We have Noir, aka the tsundere, aka the biggest loner on the planet who turned into a man-hating lesbian because the only dicks she wants are older guys and most older men are MGTOWs by then, so fat fucking luck. Next we have Thunder Tits, also known as Vert. But I prefer Thunder Tits, since I happen to like a woman named after the voluptuous girth of her breasts. She's basically a 17-year-old girl who so cancerously longs to fulfill her destiny as an One-sama to every little boy and girl while raping them. Rape. But of course, this is probably America I'm speaking to. And no one cares these days if a woman rapes a boy. In fact, when did they ever care? And finally, for those sick lollipedo faggots out there, we've got Blonde. She's basically the man-hating, radical feminist who's got bipolar disorder. She's probably the kind of girl who would, like, cut her neighbor's penis off, toss it into a garbage disposal, and get, like, famous or some shit because a bunch of, like, dried-up cunts decide to talk about it in, a feminist roundtable on a talk show.
I do think it's quite fabulous. I mean, can you just imagine that thing whizzing around the disposal? It's like hysterical.
The only difference between Blonde and the actual incident that actually happened is the girl who did it was actually dating the guy. Basically, each of the main characters are basically goddesses called CPUs. So you can already tell that the characters are basically meant to entice male feminist cucks, you know, manginas, who pretty much think that all females are goddesses by nature. But basically, they all can transform from one form into another. And I'm not going to go into all the characters, but I am going to, you know, go into the main ones, you know, usually. Not really going to talk too much about the side characters, supporting characters, but I'll leave them at the credits or whatever. I'll leave them and I'll name them. But basically, all the goddesses can transform from one form into another, and I'm not going to go into all the characters, you know, because I want to make this video shorter than it would be if, you know, I did go into all of them. The first game was basically an RPG, you know, turn-based, so it's not exactly going to give you the sweat-inducing feeling of trying to play something like the average Devil May Cry game on, like, normal mode, hard mode, or especially not Dante Must Die mode. But it did have enough to call it a game, you know, it had potential. It was basically about the console wars personified in some fictional world known as game industry. That's about original as a name as any reactionary channel's videos. But either way, it was a good idea for the time, you know? But it lacked execution to really put it past being a super waifu game, this Yuri subtext game, this kawaii, sugoi ugu game. Ugh. There's even a girl who's hunting for wives who even says when asked about any interest in guys, I don't know. That's right, that's what she says. I don't know. So you can pretty much see that this is a game that was designed for men to fap to girls, and unfortunately for the girls, most of them are so unattractive that they'd probably make even a feminist break their own cancer-ridden code of SJWism to call them out on being ugly as fuck. Most of the jokes were related to fourth wall jokes, trope awareness, and gaming jokes in general. I mean, it was fun, for a short while. After the first game, Compile Heart decided to release Mark II, and Mark II introduced a new MC. This MC was Nepgear.
AKA the kind of girl who probably wears that one-piece jacket because she's a Mormon, and most Mormon girls are so horny that even the fat otakus who like this series could get in the sheets with.
Now, I don't hate Nepgear. In fact, I actually have to say that I have a thing for girls of a relatively average height with C-cup tits and a one-piece jacket that hides her striped panties. I'm pretty sure she's C-cup. The only thing that makes me cringe a lot is the fact that she was specifically designed in personality to be that easy Mormon lay. She reminds me of a girl who's too easy to please. Hold the door open for her at Starbucks, talk to her, make friends with her or something, exchanging phone numbers, and a week later, she drops her panties, and there you go. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drop my panties in front of you like that. Can you help me pick them up and put them back on? And then we have Uni, the noir of this game. One of them, at least. She's also okay. You know, I guess I wouldn't mind having a body pillow of her. She's kind of like, what, barely 15 or something? You know, 15 is okay, right? Now, here in one state, 15 years old is the legal age.
I actually like her better than Noir.
But yeah, she plays the whole tsundere role. So she's still kind of a stereotype, but she's a little bit better off at it than, her sister. Her older sister. After that, we have the two characters who probably have the most semen from Japanese fat otaku loners sitting on body pillows of them. The lollies, Ram and Ram. It's thanks to these two that Mark II got an M rating. The first game didn't have that. Aside from the new main cast, the old one returns as well, but not until later in the game, because they got caught in some demonic tentacle rape hentai. When it comes down to it, the main issue with the game is that the story tries to do what High School DD did, that made it so fucking retarded. It tried to have a super serious story with outrageously over-the-top humor. That's the only way I can describe the average Neptunia humor. And it's not even as good as being over-the-top as something like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so the humor is already lacking.
Nothing beats JoJo. Nothing.
The worst thing about it that made it so bad in the story department was that one ending went too serious and had full-blown horror movie edge, where only one character survived by killing everyone else to power up some sword that sounds like a ripoff of Soul Edge. Overall, the best thing about Mark II was that it changed how the game was played, although only slightly. It's still turn-based, but you get to walk around and position the characters on the battle screen, then you take your turn. Don't expect any of the games to change like that, though. The fucking weeaboo fanbase will probably tell you that every other game made drastic changes and stayed fresh, but it's about as fresh as the average porn star's dried semen-filled cunt. After that cesspool of edgy sunshine and sweet creamy crates that was Mark II, we had Victory. Now this is when the series got really fucking repetitive, because they set themselves up for a long train of spin-offs that basically equated to alternate universes, because an alternate universe is where they went to. We basically had 2 new additions to the main cast, and they both got old really fast. Plutia acts like a major cutie, sure, but she's so fucking slow in the head that even the mentally challenged kids from the spec ed classes in my 10th grade high school year could fucking speak faster than she could. She also turns into the hottest sadist I've ever seen. But she was also the most overdone meme in the entire series for a while, where everyone in any community would actually post images of her threatening the viewers and be like, they'd all get like fucking scared as fuck. Like, oh my god, I'm so scared. Like, it was posting emojis like, I don't know, what do they call that emoji where it's like a fucking like scary face? Like, I'm so scared.
Plutia is about as scary to me as a Freddy Krueger parody while he's fighting against Barney the dinosaur. Or that one video called Farnold Krugenegger.
Now on to Peachy. Peachy is basically another Rom and Ram edition. A lolly. Except that instead of turning from one lolly to another, she turns into a busty blonde more gifted than Vert, but with the brain of a 7-year-old chugging down gallons of Monster Energy. If it was just Yellowheart on her own and not some kid behind her, I could get behind the idea of an adult who's naive. It's kinda cute sometimes, and I do like an easy lay with big tits.
Oh yeah!
It did, however, go on to fix what's wrong with Mark II, and get rid of the edgy kill all my friends to save the world shit. After that game, we started getting nothing but spin-offs, basically with the promise of an eventual 4th main series game, as the weeaboo fucks call it. For spin-off number 1, we've got a dating sim game that basically lets you date the 4 original main cast members, despite it having the other 4 cancer magnet chicks from Mark II.
Did I forget to mention that the CPU's power runs on face called shares? Well, in this game, they want shares from the people by dressing in skimpy outfits that a bunch of these moon-speaking whores called idols wear, while shaking their legs, arms, and asses for an audience full of the Neptunia fanbase.
Meaning fat and overly skinny otaku pussies. You'd be hard-pressed to find a Joestar caliber guy even wasting his time on these people. You probably wouldn't even find Master Roshi there. Because, you know, he's probably one of those really old guys who grew up on music that doesn't sound loud enough to resemble a jet plane passing gas as it flies past the sound barrier. The gameplay is actually different, though, because it's not an RPG. It's a dating sim game with rhythm-based gameplay. Sounds fun. Woo-hoo. Number 2, Hyperdimension Noir. That's right, a game for noir, aka everyone's waifu, who they all think belongs to them and them alone. Kill yourself. This one's still an RPG, but it's a different kind of RPG, so, you know, it has different gameplay. I'm gonna predict a pattern involving the spin-offs and originality. It still has the dating sim aspect, but it's limited to only noir. This time it's less you and more so some surrogate guy who's supposed to be your faceless representative. And it's a guy, of course, so the game is almost universally hated by the Neptunia fanbase for that.
Go home to Tumblr and kill yourself on video for them.
The worst thing that it has, and it ruins the story, is having about 20 new characters, give or take a few. One short game isn't enough to write for that many fucking stereotypes and generic women. Hell, even the secretary is a little less generic than these girls.
P.S. The secretary is the name of your representative.
They're literally nothing but quirk. So, you know, it's like being a girl who dumps SpaghettiOs on her and starts talking, you know, some bullshit life lesson and calls it art. It's not worth being considered a trait worth valuing on its own. Having that many forgettable faces in the sea of many faces of waifus just like them, I can definitely say that the fanbase liking these girls more than the secretary out of, like, for character alone, is more so fear out of being labeled a misogynist and a faggot at the same time for admitting that there's a man who's better written than a girl. Don't get me wrong, wanting to fuck everything that has a vagina and a well-kept body is fine by me.
But your dick is not going to prove that these girls are anything more than the typical cuckoo's nest escapee.
After the cesspool of Yuri Fag tears, we have what can only be labeled as the shittiest hack-and-slash tournament fighter that I've ever seen. Maybe the only one. It still sucks as a hack-and-slash. By no means is it bad in comparison to the entire main series, but
it's fucking horribly bland.
The areas that you fight in are extremely unimaginative and lack any of the stuff that makes things like Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta, and Devil May Cry look impressive. I will say that Metal Gear Rising and Bayonetta, though, are worse off than DMC because they both use QTEs, while DMC doesn't really use them at all. But that's for another video.
And QTE stands for Quick Time Events.
And I can guarantee you there's a bunch of Neptunia weeaboos who are probably looking at me saying, oh no, I don't believe in Metal Gear Rising and Devil May Cry, they're not good comparisons, but Bayonetta, yeah, your Bayonetta just has such great scenery.
And I bet you they've never played Metal Gear Rising or Devil May Cry. And if they did, they were probably wishing that the main characters were all cute little girls.
Last but not least is the fucking joke that they made about Gamergate. You know, it basically states that one of the characters, called Dengekiko, is basically the equivalent to a bitch working at any site about gaming journalism, but mostly sites like Gawker, The Salon, Kotaku, and any employee of Twitter. KYS Compile Heart, and especially Idea Factory. Okay, so after that, we've got a game I haven't played. I've seen some Let's Plays of it in Japanese, so I'm gonna hold off on, talking shit about the story, but the gameplay seems to be the fucking same. You know, the Sega Hard Girl one, or Sega Hard Girls, okay, plural, bleh. Last but not least, we've got, Mega Dimension V2. And I didn't really get to play the game per se, I got to basically Skype with a friend, right? And this guy was a friend of mine who, he never really played the game unless I was, Skyping with him. And he was, basically on video. So it was, in a way, it was kind of like Best Friends Play, but Skype version, but he never recorded it. So, fucking useless. But no Skype Friends Play or anything like that. But basically he played it, and would only play it if I was watching. So I did it just to see the entire game.
Same fucking gameplay.
But better fucking story. So the game, it loses any value after, you platinum it, like all the others. It's not a game that has any kind of replay value when, the story can be seen in 100 YouTube videos or more, just hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos. All just, the same shit, gameplay, let's play Mega Dimension Neptunia V2! What's that guy's name? The Twit Gamer? The Twit Gamer. The Twit Gamer. The new additions to the main cast that I feel like naming are 5 new waifus and a male.
A male. That's right. And he's a fish.
The best part about him, though, is that he's basically DLC for your party. You can play as him. The tears of misandrous Yuri fags is why life is so beautiful. I bet you the reason he's playable is because the male Neptunia fan base in Japan, and even maybe a few in America, they're all going herbivore. So they want to pretend like they care by making a male playable. But he's a fish. But don't worry, I bet you soon they're going to be adding in tons of malnourished Bishonen. Right after they add in a bunch of little Boy Scouts for the main cast to rape. Rape. It's only wrong if it's done by men to girls. Kill me now! Ugh! Aside from one of the 2 saving graces of this game, we have Uzume. Now, I genuinely find Uzume to be so adorable that I fucking want to eat as many Big Macs as it takes to look as diabetic as I feel. She can switch between a personality that's fit for a 90s valley girl with the fashion choice that only an anti-slut-shaming feminist would wear. Not that I mind. I'd do her. Kill me now! Ugh! After those 2, we have the gold stereotypes. The gold third. Each one has a name that has the word Shaw in it, with a letter representing the companies that they represent before it. K-Shaw is basically the biggest disgrace to Solid Snake you can imagine being mixed in with the batshit insanity of a member of the B&B unit. They call her a soldier who's killed tons, but I doubt she's seen anywhere as even half the action that the average man in the military has,
So it really ruins the message of war does terrible things when the person is a cute girl who probably only sniped a few people every now and then.
Big Boss would basically be so edgy and so soldier-like that she'd probably end up feeling like she just got fucked till she loved him. She's a complete disgrace to anything related to Metal Gear, although she's kinda cute. But she really sucks as a character. She's just basically yandere fuel for the most retarded fanbase ever. And really autistic at that.
I'm Ethan Bradbury, 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 I'm Ethan Bradbury.
S-Shaw is basically Square Enix, but she's about as bland as Cloud Strife is, but at least Cloud Strife had an origin story and doesn't feel like an attempt at being creative, but mostly just ending up being boring as fuck. She basically has some kind of split personality called E-Shaw. It's really stupid, but both of them are soft-spoken as fuck to the point that whenever S-Shaw says, "not interested," it pretty much sums up my entire opinion of her. Not interested. So how about you go join a strip club and see if you can get me interested. Bishaw, though, is basically this money-grubbing, rebellious kid version of Neptune, who probably got kicked out of her parents' house for, like, her behavior being so fucking greedy. She basically asks for money for her services, but only from adults. If it's a kid, she'll offer protective services for, like, free. So she's basically like a fee collector for the Mafia.
Hey,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Oh, and did I mention that even though they're called the Gold Third, they're actually a 4-member team?
Last but not least, we've got Seashaw. Basically, she's really fucking hot, but seems like she might be a Mary Sue based on her description. Basically, she seems like the kind of character who's like useless to a story to me in any place other than under my bed sheets. Now for the story, it is actually better. It basically did what Mark II needed to do and had a decent, balance of edgy drama and comedy. Not perfect, but it's better off.
I still don't feel like playing any more of the games, so...
Overall, the game is really nothing special. The majority of people who I see play it are like, playing it on a Let's Play, a no commentary walkthrough, and they remind me of a certain breed of male feminist who basically hates anything like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because anything masculine is like toxic to them. I think most people who play these games go to Tumblr and, they hear about toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. Oh, masculinity is so toxic. It's so toxic, even though it's what built our society and lets me play these games.
Well, whatever. I'm autistic, but not as autistic as they are. I can actually hold a conversation with another man without having to have a female to hoist up over my shoulders while claiming about how empowered she is. Oh, feel empowered! Even though the legal system is completely biased in your favor. Overall, I'm positive the fanbase is Tumblr trash cancer, You're the reason that ISIS wants to kill everyone. You. That's right, you. But anyways, the games are old and tiring. So, meh. Now on to the quotes I mentioned. You remember that, right?
In the second remake, Rebirth 2, there's a line that Idea Factory changed from a comment on the lesbian character Red's age compared to a man, all the way to a comment about how boys are gross.
Way to go supporting the idea that all lesbians have to be man-hating retards with enough lipstick lesbian appeal for you to feel that she's secretly just hungering for a big fat 8-inch solid snake.
Not that I blame them. Lipstick lesbians usually turn out to be bisexual or just so horny without a dick that they have to do something with their clits.
And like I said before, there's Dengekiko's quote on Gamergate, so she can go fuck herself after getting fucked by an orgy of fat fucks in a hentai rape dojin for all I care. And for the last one, as far as I remember, Blonde basically told Ram and Ram to especially be careful of men.
As if most men are the pedophiles caught doing these things, despite most pedophiles being caught are female school teachers.
Blonde, I want to rip your fucking vagina out and replace it with a bear trap. But anyways, I'm done here. I'm triggered just talking about this shit. I hope I triggered you, because if I did, then I know damn well you wouldn't survive anywhere outside of a university campus.
Opinions are not facts, so I don't have to respect your non-factual opinion. Hashtag KYS. AKA, keep YouTube safe.
Safe from SJWs. After that edge pool. After that edge pool. The worst. Worst! How's that for an iDubbbz TV? Unique New York, unique New York, unique New York. I can honestly say that, the main... How's that for an iDubbbz TV?